Hello, guys, and welcome back to the channel. All good afternoon. We've got Wads in the building, so good afternoon.
Afternoon, how are you, Dan?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Looking forward to the weekend's game. Massive game, of course. Huge opportunity for both teams, but especially Forest at home. Big chance. So yeah, looking forward to it, really.
I mean, it is a massive game for both teams, especially more so after the results. But it's a massive um, step forward for us to take if we do get a result out of Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, we're at home, so I feel we've got a chance of winning because if even if this was at Goodison against Everton in there today, I wouldn't be like hugely confident because of how poor we are on the road. Like we went to 18th place last week in West Ham and got battered in a very disappointing manner. And yeah, we have to respond to that. Obviously, both teams are coming off the back of 4-0 defeats, only two quite different kinds of performances against two different teams. Losing 4-0 to Arsenal's fair, but losing 4-0 to West Ham like we did was unacceptable, really. Incredibly, I wasn't even like really annoyed. I was just more wasn't really too surprised, to be honest, of how it happened because we've seen it before, but it has to be sorted out, the away form. But we've also got to make the most of our home games as well. 100%. We've still got Everton, Wolves, and Southampton to play, and obviously Newcastle, Palace, not Palace. We've got Arsenal obviously to play at home. Man United, we have some tough games coming up at home as well, but we have some winnable ones. So, yeah, we've got to make the most of it. Everton obviously under Deitch. It does concern me a bit, if I'm honest, that Deitch is the manager because he knows the club incredibly well. Like he's been to several games this season, just as a Forest fan. He's even been to a game since he's been at Everton. So he's travelled down from Everton. It's not like he was just going to games when he wasn't at a club. So he clearly cares about Forest and wants us to perform. And he won't want us to play well at the weekend, of course. But it does concern me that he's going to know a lot about how he's set up and our individuals, and like us as Forest fans, we know what our weaknesses are, we know what our strengths are. He's going to know in even more depth than probably some other managers would do because he's been to a lot of games. So it does concern me a bit that, but hopefully we can outwit him with Super Cooper and the home atmosphere and everything. Hopefully it's not enough for Everton to get one up on us.
Yeah, that's been the fan base got with 12 man again on Sunday. It has been all season. We've just got to be a lot more 12 man on Sunday than we have been before. And if results go our way in that, we could be 7 points clear of the relegation zone, which going into Spurs and Newcastle, I mean, Newcastle at home will be a different ball game anyway with it being at home, but
Yeah.
that sort of cushion going into Spurs away, it'd be massive.
Yeah, to go 7 points clear of bottom three would be huge, like you say, and especially with Spurs coming up, I've not got too much hope against them lot. I mean, I know Spurs can be very Spursy, but it's still Tottenham away, and again, yeah, we struggle with anyone away from home seemingly this season. So to go to a so-called Big Six side, I've not got too much hope, but let's cross that bridge when we get to it. Let's focus on Everton first, make the most of the game. And yeah, I think it's brilliant that we are so good at home. Obviously, like we said, we've got to sort out the away form, but we've only really played bad in two games at home this season, in my opinion, against Fulham and Bournemouth. And there were two back-to-back games at the start of the year, really. And obviously, that was when we were still very much learning and bonding as a team and learning the Premier League, which is a very tough thing to have to learn. I know we've obviously lost the Spurs as well at home, but we played pretty well in that game. It's saying that we were even less, bonded when we played that to what we did with Fulham and Bournemouth. So, yeah, we did okay against Spurs at home, and we were awful against Bournemouth, and we weren't quite as bad against Fulham, but we threw away in the lead. But besides those games, we've been very hard to beat at home. We have had a few points which could have been wins. I think we could have beaten Chelsea. I think Brentford, we could have beaten them as well. But Brentford have been excellent, so I'll take a point against them. We'll take a point against Chelsea. Ultimately, it's still Chelsea. We've had some brilliant results at home and some brilliant wins. 19 of our 25 points have come at home this year. So that's huge. And this is why I feel we've got a huge chance of winning this one. Everton, obviously a traditional Premier League club, but they're in danger again of finally being relegated, and we've got to make the most of that. I looked at their team earlier. No one really scares me in it. Like, they have some talent in there, but have a good manager more than anything. But I look at their team and I think, how many of them would get into our starting 11? And there's not many at all, if any. So they don't scare me, Everton. And us being at home, I think we've got every chance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the thing. And even I was watching AFTV earlier and listening to them, and they were saying Everton was really good for 40 minutes to shut up shop, and they just didn't let Arsenal play. And since Arsenal got one, they got two, then three and four. And if I could do that, they could see the floodgates open it, touch wood.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to see us win convincingly, wouldn't it? Like, all the games we have won have been pretty scrappy and not fully convincing in terms of how we won, apart from that Leicester game where we deservedly won 2-0 and we could have had more. So it would be nice to see us thrash someone at some point at home or just in the Premier League. It'd be nice, and hopefully it's Everton. But I don't think it will happen. I think it'd be a very tight game, pretty cagey. You know what Dyche is going to be like. It's going to be pretty direct football, not the most exciting to watch. But we've got to make the most of that. We've got to try and exploit it. They clearly have weaknesses, Everton. They got some good players, but they're a mess at the moment. So I'm pretty confident we can get a win. I'd be kind of disappointed with the point, to be honest, if you realise that we then have Newcastle and Spurs. I know Newcastle have kind of been tailing off a little, but they're still an excellent side. They're top 4 or the 5th, actually. Got to a cup final. So it's again at home, I feel we've got a chance. Again, if it was at St James's Park, then I wouldn't be too confident. But at home, 100% we can get something from that. But more importantly, right now, Everton, I think we've got every chance of getting something from it, really.
I mean, as well, what sort of like, it'd be nice to see quite a attacking team. Do you think that we probably play a different? I wouldn't want us to play a different formation, but as you said about Dutch coming down, seeing this player, knowing our strengths, could you see Cooper pulling off a masterclass and just?
I mean, I really like Sean Dyche. I think he's a great manager, but I'd always have to pick Cooper ahead of him. So, it doesn't particularly concern me. Like, even though I think he's a great manager, and there's been times when Forest fans have said, "Let's get Dyche in." I mean, I'd take him if we didn't have Cooper, but I would never swap him. So I don't think we'll see anything too drastic. Like, I think Cooper would be aware of the fact that Dyche knows us and be aware of the fact that the kind of opposition we're playing against. But I do hope we go for it. Like, we tend to do that a lot, even at home. We tend to sit back quite a bit and then hit them on the counter. But I don't think we'll see anything necessarily like we did against Chelsea, where we gave them too much respect, and against Man United in particular. And then we kind of get our act together and get back into it. And that's what I did like against Man City, is like we didn't really do that. We seemed to be at it from the very get-go. Like, we weren't quite as brave in our attacking. We were a lot more defensive, but we had to be. But we seemed to match City a lot at times in that game, and City are better than United even now. As good as United are right now, I still have to put City ahead of them. And so, I don't think it'd be anything too drastic. I could see Cooper as, going for something we know pretty well. So we'll see. But I don't think it would be anything too drastic. To be fair, I think it'd be probably quite a predictable kind of performance from Forest. Really, let's try and get the fans on our side. I mean, we'll be on their side every time anyway. We're not the kind of fan base to necessarily turn on them like some teams would do mid-game anyway. So yeah, I'm excited, but I'm also very nervous about it. It's a big game against a team in the bottom three at home.
What? So, I mean, one of the talking points was from last week was Shelby. I don't like looking at the back pass, but I know one of the talking points was Shelby pulling off last week, and now that turn. I mean, now Shelby started to get that match fitness up. Even last week, he showed that bit of quality that he had. I mean, he was controlling that midfield before it went off.
Yeah, it did seem like a crucial moment, didn't it? Taking Shelby off, and I know Cooper said it was down to fitness. He didn't want to over his fat. We don't want any more injuries. But I don't want to hop on about away from we're playing at home this week. But
I know dribbling on about waveform, but
yeah, the fact that we took Shelby off and it just made us collapse, and seemingly bringing AO on was the wrong player to bring on. I get why we did that, but it seemed to be the wrong sub. But yeah, Shelby seemingly the early stages is going to be a very important player. I wasn't too sure about it when we signed him, but I really like the look of him at the moment. He doesn't seem out of place at all. He seems already very comfortable in the team. He seems to be enjoying himself at Forest, and he's made an already strong midfield even stronger. And we have some great options there now. I just want to see Yatesy back. Honestly, I miss seeing Yates in the midfield. I think we miss Yates. His leadership, his grit, his work in the midfield, work rate is huge to us, and I think people underestimate how important he is to the team. Don't know when we're going to see him back. Hopefully soon. I think Foyle is probably a staple of the team, even though he does get some criticism, and I think some of it's probably fair. He does go missing at times, but on the flip side, people always say that he doesn't necessarily have to notice him to do well because that he's just going about his business. So I rate Foyle. I think he's a good player, so I'll keep him in the team, and I think Shelby as well. And ideally Yates. Only right now, I'm not sure who would put next to those two. I'd probably say Mangala, or I'm curious to know why Scarpa's just been excluded of late. We've not been using him the last couple of games. I know he's not been too effective, but he's certainly shown that Brazilian kind of magic to his game. Some of the passes he's flicked about the place. So I like Scarpa, and I do want to see him used more, but I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure whether Cooper rates him just yet. And the same with Danilo as well, really. Like, he played well against City and he got took off. And then obviously he's not played in the last two games. He didn't play against West Ham. So, yeah, it's interesting to see how we use those two, really, them two Brazilians. But, yeah, to raise your point about Shelby, I think he's very important to the team, really.
Yeah, I would want to talk about them two with Stop and Danilo. So he's beating the next question. But, I mean, with Shelby, I mean, he will be crucial for the end of the season anyway. I don't want to look too far ahead with it being Everton on Sunday, but he will be crucial in that game on Sunday against Everton with that experience and that know-how. And now he's probably getting that match fitness and getting used to how we play. He will be so pivotal in that midfield, especially against Everton.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm looking at Everton's team, like they've been playing I think they play like four midfielders in their side. So it'd be a very interesting midfield battle going on. Like I looked at their team earlier. Actually, they play Drissa Gay and Onana, who's been a bright spot for them. Decore's in there as well. I'm actually quite pleased that Garner's injured, so I don't have to watch him play against us. That would have been quite painful. But yeah, I think Shelby will be vital to us going forward. I think we've seen the fact that we take him off and we collapse, and that says an awful lot. You take one player off and it changes how the game goes. And like I said, I wasn't too sure about it when we signed him, but ultimately he's he's done very well so far. He probably didn't cost that much, something like a 2-year deal. And I think looking at it, really, I get what we did, because obviously Friday and Yates Yates is out. We've got Danilo and Scarpa can possibly play there as well. But you realise that O'Brien's unregistered and Kuate's injured. And Mangala at times, I think he's kind of struggled the last couple of, about last month or so. So it was needed. And I think he's proven us wrong now, really, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, it is, to be fair. The main talking point in a way that I want to talk going into this game is the striking option. It is a big topic in a way. I mean, I mean, Wolves seem to got his haters back in one way, but I mean, with Woods now, I think now he's signed permanently in that. And do you feel like he could be used positively on Sunday, or do you think that we could bring him on like we did against City?
Yeah, it's a tough one, really, with Chris Wood, because, he was very poor in the first few games. I was one of his critics. But obviously, we all forgive him after he scored against City, albeit it was a tapping. But we've got to look at the wider picture. It was an incredible team goal against a team that are known for scoring that style of goal. And obviously, he also made the run to be in the position, right place at the right time. He can be very effective for us, Chris Wood. I do kind of feel like he maybe be more useful, especially when we've got Taiwo back, as a backup, or not a backup, an impact sub. Maybe that might be what we try and use him with. And I'm not sure if I'd start him at the weekend. I don't actually know if I would, be honest. Like, obviously, you got to have Gibbs White and Johnson in there, but it's the other name that's very suspect. Like, do we play a false nine like we have done at times, and have Gibbs White as like that roaming striker? And do we play Lingard in there? Like, he's fit again now, and those two performances before the World Cup are brilliant. Obviously, he really struggled before that, but he played really well in that Spurs Cup game. He played well against Palace. He nearly scored in that. And it wasn't just those, that week before the World Cup. It was actually after it. He played well against Blackburn as well. Then he got injured, and he took a step back again for the last 2 months. And it's a shame. Like, we look back at Lingard's time at Forest so far, it was basically a very slow start with a little small burst of his old self in there. And I just hope he can end the season strongly now. And personally, I would try and keep Lingard around. Like, I don't think he's vital to us. I don't think it'd be as disastrous if we didn't keep him around, but I just think he's good for the dressing room, and he has shown what he can do at times. And we know what a player he can be. So maybe we'll play him. I don't think we will. Maybe we could see Scarpa come into the team. He might play as an attacking midfielder. It might allow him into the team. Or do we want to still play with an out-and-out number 9? We play Surridge. Like, I think Surridge has been very underused. So I'd probably go with him if we're going to play a striker. I haven't been too sold on Andre Ayew, if I'm honest. He's obviously experienced, he's Cooper, but not particularly stood out to me so far. So for me, I'd probably play at one of Scarpa or Surridge alongside Gibbs White and Johnson in attack, really. That's what I'd do.
Well, yeah, interesting. Have we got a score prediction for Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I don't think we'll lose because we're at home. So I'm actually going to go for a very narrow 1-0 win to Forest. Again, I'd like to see us win a bit more convincingly at some stage, but the win, it's a win. It's all that matters, isn't it?
That's done into his looking into the future of the week.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm a mind reader, mate. Considering it's into the future.
Yeah, you know what? We had quite a few 1-0. I think this is third 1-0 win I've done last 2 days, actually.
It's just what Forest are good at this season, isn't it? 1-0.
Yeah. So you heard it here first, guys. If we win 1-0, you're going to be like, Talk Forest TV said it would be 1-0.
Heard it here first. What more proof do you need, everyone?
Yeah. Do we say about your socials?
Yeah, everyone come and subscribe to the Rads. Plenty of vlogs and Forest content over there. Trying to get to 5k subscribers. So please come over and help me. And yes, subscribe to Talk Forest TV as well. It makes sense.
Right. Obviously, you guys must hear it most time. Myself got the crew certified for the
Yeah,
quality. So,
exactly. If I've been verified by the man himself, then it's all that matters.
right, the you. So, but yeah, but, thank you for coming on, and as usual,
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Up the Reds.
up the reds. Do hit the subscribe buttons on the both our channels. Obviously, it is linked in the title, so do jump across and get Wads to 5k. So,
Yes, please do.
so I'd like to thank you for watching and goodbye.